Swastiastu. Good morning, everyone. First of all, we want to thanks to our lecturer, Miss Santi Octarina, for the chance that given to us. We are from the group 5 of A class in Pasar. Will present the material of teaching English as foreign language. Our today's topic is productive skill. And before we started, let me introduce our group members. Me, myself, my name is Nilo Sylvia Perana Putri, and my friends are Nikutet Sinar Ningsih, Kadek Jeniari Sarsini, and Idewa Ayu Gede Adiari. Today, we will explain about 5 important contents. The first is basic methodological model. The second is structuring discourse. The third one is interacting with audience. The fourth is dealing with difficulty. And the last one is language issue. And for the first submaterial will be given by me. So, what is productive skill? Productive skills include writing and speaking and are basically one of the things we use to communicate with others, or also known as active skill. Productive skills are constructing something in a form of language to tell people. These skills are important because they allow learners to understand content, textbooks, words, or documents. Productive skills are significant because they permit learners to perform in communicative aspects such as oral presentation, written studies, and report, among others. Although the productive skills of writing and speaking are different in many ways, we can still provide a basic model for teaching and organizing them. So, the first one is a basic methodological model for teaching productive skill. Methodology itself is a system of practice and procedure that a teacher uses to teach. It will be based on beliefs about the nature of language and how it is learned. It is also known as approach. Factors in deciding how to teach include the age and experience of learners, lesson and course objective, expectation and resources. A key factor in the success of productive skill tasks is the way teachers organize them and how they respond to the students' work. And here are basic methodological model for teaching a productive skill. The first one is lead-in. In the lead-in stage, teacher engage with students in the topic and ask them what they know about the current subject, or get the student to think about the kind of conversation that usually takes place when people checking. For the example, if the task is about to have tourism debate, ask students about their experience or knowledge in tourism. The second one is teacher set tasks. When teachers set tasks, we explain exactly what students are going to do. At this stage, a teacher needs to demonstrate the activity in some way and give them the example, or teacher could get the students to repeat the task instruction back to us, either in English or in their native language. Teachers also need to make sure they give the information needed to students to complete their tasks. For the example, if students are going to work in pairs, show the class how the activity works by pairing ourselves to one of the students. The next is teacher monitor the tasks. When students already start their assessment, we as a teacher will monitor the tasks. This means if teacher able to go around the class, listening to students, working and helping them where they have difficulties or else. With writing tasks, teacher may become actively involved in the writing process as they respond to the student work. And also, teacher point them in the new direction. The next is teacher give task feedback. When the activity has finished, teacher needs to give task feedback to help students to see how well they have done. Teacher will respond to content of the task as well as the language students use in the assessment. It will show positive aspect of what they have achieved and not concentrate solely on their failing. And the last one is task-related follow-up. Follow-up tasks are tasks that must be performed after completion of a specific task. Teachers usually choose to have pick up in the monitoring that the students need to work, or teacher may reset the task by something that very similar to it and go through the sequence again. So that's all about my material. The next sub-material will be given by my friend. The next presenter, the time is yours.
Okay, I'm Sinar. I will continue the material. The material is structuring discourse. When was the last time you had a conversation with someone, either through writing or in person? It was probably pretty recently. Whenever you communicate with someone about a topic, either in writing or speaking, you are participating in discourse. Since communication happens all the time, discourse is a hard part of our everyday life. It is absolutely vital, especially as part of the language learning process. There are two overseen types of language interaction. The first is explicit or formal interaction. This is probably the type of interaction you think of automatically that include vocabulary list and looking at specific tenses or conjunction. The second is implicit or communication-based interaction. When using discourse as a tool in the classroom, it falls under the implicit interaction umbrella because the focus is on fluid communication rather than specific grammar or vocabulary. Discourse analysis is the examination of language used by members of a speech community. It involves looking at both language form and language function and includes the study of both spoken interaction and written text. It identifies linguistic features that characterize different genres as well as social and cultural factors that aid in our interpretational and understanding of different texts and types of thought. A discourse analysis of written text and might include a study of topic, development, and cohesion across the sentence, while an analysis of spoken language might focus on this aspect plus turn-taking practice, opening and closing sequence of social develop in variety of disciplines sociolinguistic, anthropology, sociology, and social psychology. This focus on the application of discourse analysis to second language teaching and learning. It provides example of how teachers can improve their teaching practice by investigating actual language used both in and out of the classroom and how students can learn in language through exposure to different types of discourse.
Well, I will continue the next material. Interaction is a kind of action that occurs as two or more objects have an effect upon one another. The idea of a two-way is essential in the concept of interaction, as opposed to a one-way causal effect. Part of our speaking proficiency depends upon our ability to speak differentially, depending upon our audience and upon the way absorb their reaction and respond to them. Part of our writing skill depends upon our ability to change our style and structure to suit the person or people we are writing for. If we want students to interact with teacher in the learning process, the first thing we have to do is communication as well. Communication as well is a very important thing to teacher because if we have a good communication with student, we can get interaction, response, reaction from student, and the learning process will be enjoying by student. In the communicating as well, there are two types. The first one is communicating with student, and the second one is communicating with parents. Communicating with student. Communication skills are most vital for interaction with students because the act of teaching itself requires them. We are responsible for comprehending and breaking down complex information, conveying this information clearly to your student, both verbally and in written results, presenting in a manner that sustains their attention and listening to and resolving their question or their problems, and we are also required to adapt content for different learning style, motivate students to learn, build supportive relationship, using encourage and empathy. Manage the classroom and give feedback, making your classroom safe and supportive learning environment. And the second one is communicating with parents. As a teacher, you will also need to communicate effectively with parents. This could take place through a variety of medium, including a smartphone or in-person meeting. So you must be skilled with both verbal and writing language. This is particularly important because you will often have to discuss sensitive subjects such as behavior issue, learning problems, and the student strength and weakness without making the parent feel confused or defensive. It is vital that you are clear but tactful at all times. Failing to communicate well with parents could lead to doubt on their part about your ability to teach and possible complaints as well as a lack of understanding of their child perform and educational needs. And the next you must to do is encourage student to interaction. There are many ways to increase interaction student with a teacher. Or the first one is create a safe learning environment with supportive relationship. It, it has been proven that supportive relationship between student and teacher have a positive impact on class engagement, participation, and the student achievement. This is because when students feel supported, they are more comfortable expressing their own thoughts and idea in class discussion, attempting challenge and asking when they need help. And the second one is teamwork. Teamwork and group discussion contribute to making the classroom a more comfortable environment. By working in a small group, students are able to share their idea more easily and improve their own communication skill. These activities are also give them a good opportunity to ask you questions and get feedback on their work, leading to effective communication between you, better understanding of the lesson, and academic benefit. Okay, the third one is body language. Communication is not only verbal, but also non-verbal. You should ensure that the signal you are giving out through your body language are positive, confident, and engaging. For example, making eye contact with students when you are talking to them show that you are being supportive and attentive. Making eye contact is also important when you are presenting to the whole class. It motivates everyone to pay attention, which helps them to learn as well as making them feel involved. And four is active listening. Active listening involves listening carefully to what your students say, checking that you have understood them correctly. For example, repeating back to them what you think they have said, building on their idea, and challenging or question them. And the five is feedback. Okay, the five is feedback. Feedback is also important component in the classroom. There have been many studies focusing on feedback in recent years. It has been shown that positive feedback, for example, we can give students a praise, build student confidence, making them more likely to believe that they can succeed, and help to create an supportive environment and increase academic success. And the sixth is sense of humor. The use of humor in the classroom has been found to increase learning, self-motivation, and positive relationship between student and teacher. It allows you to establish a rapport with your class and keep them interested in the lesson. For example, you might tell jokes or funny anecdotes. Next one is technical skill. Using up-to-date teaching aids such as computer, video, game, quiz, and online resources is another way to keep students engaged and reinforce their understanding. And last one is be clear. Good communication and good teaching is about understanding and being understood. For this reason, you should always be clear and unambiguous and adapt your word to your audience. You can ask your student questions to ensure that they understand exactly what you are asking. If you teach in primary school, your student language abilities won't yet be fully developed. You can use closed question, electing yes or no response. For alternative such as is she angry or happy? The lion is are most effective for communicating with younger children. And for older children, open-ended questions such as how do you think or tell me about allow them to extend their thinking and develop their problem-solving skill.
Well, next I am Idewa Gadadiari will continue the next sub-material and it's about dealing with difficulty. Some new language learners complain that learning a new language is difficulty. Although we cannot say that is a general occurrence because there are people who find that foreign language acquisition is easy. It is very easy to say that people should be learning a new language and that bilingualism opens more for business, employments, and personal relationships. It's the actual process of learning is a language that is difficult, based on the premise that learning something new is naturally hard to do initially. But we all know that it would get better in time. Most language learners ask how long it would take them to be proficient in the language they are learning. It's actually a question that is difficult to answer because there are many variables to be considered. Factors that affect language learning include the learner's ability, the learning environments, motivations, previous experience in learning foreign language, and the intensity of the instruction. Language productions activities which fall at the communicative and of the communications continuum are not just practice activities. However, one of the strategies which speakers need to develop is the art of getting around language problems in communications, such as writers too will have to find ways of saying things even when a lack of language makes this difficult. In difficulties in learning language, there are elements which have an essential role in learning the language. These three elements are called micro skills of skills, and students may have difficulties in learning these skills. When speakers or writers of their own or a foreign language do know a word or just can't remember it, they may employ some or all of the following strategies to resolve the difficulty. For the first one is improving. Speakers sometimes try any word or phrase for that they come up with in the hope that it is about right, such as improvisation sometimes work, but they can also obscure the meaning. For the second one is discarding. When speakers simply can't find words for what they want to say, they may abandon the thought that they can't put into words. For the third one is foreignizing. When operating in a foreign language, speakers and writers sometimes choose a word in a language they know well, such as their first language and foreignize it, such as, in other words, pronounce it as if it was a second language, in the hope that it will be equivalent to the meaning they wish to express in the foreign language. For the last one is paraphrasing. Clearly, some of these difficulty strategies are more appropriate than the others. As teachers, we should encourage paraphrasing and improvising as more useful techniques than discarding thoughts or foreignizing words blindly. However, a major reason for having students perform our communicative tasks in class is to give them practice in just this kind of strategy. Well, for the next material is about the language issue. Languages are fluid. Words become outdated, such as new ones are borrowed from other languages or created out of the thin air. Differences in words like this can make it hard for people of the same language to understand each other. Learners engaged in a productive task can become very frustrated when they just do not have the words or the grammar they need to express themselves. Sometimes, of course, there can be such language they would like to use, but this can make writing a very cumbersome process, and in speaking, such as an option is anyway not available, at least not in spontaneous speech. Well, there are a number of steps that we can take which will help students achieve success in language issues that are, for the first one is supply key language. Before we ask students to take part in a spoken or written activity, we may check their knowledge of key vocabulary and help them with phrases or questions that will be useful for the task. However, where speaking is concerned, we should remember that language which students have only just met for the first time, whether grammatical, lexical, or phrasal, is often not available for instant use in spontaneous conversations, such as more exposure and practice is usually necessary before people can use new language fluently. We should not expect, therefore, that we can introduce new language and have students use it instantly in communicative activities. Instead, we need to plan in advance. Well, for the second one is plan activities in advance. Well, because of the time lag between our students meeting new language and their ability to use it fluently, we need to plan production activities that will perfect the use of the language which they have had a chance to observe at an earlier stage. Alright everyone, that's all from me. For the next, we'll be back to the moderator.